Okay, so today's video, guys, we're going to be installing this beautiful hewn-out stone sink. Now, it doesn't have an overflow system, so it takes special plumbing, so stay with us. We're also going to put in our tap that goes along with that. We're going to connect all the plumbing underneath so that you can finish your bathroom vanity all by yourself, all right? So when you're installing your vanity sink plumbing, really only one thing to be concerned about, and that is aesthetics, right? How does it look? So what we've done is we've just taken our center line, I've measured across, put my framing square there, and I'm going to mark my center line on my tape, and I'm going to put a lot of tape now, front to back, right over that center line. Now what I do is I can set the sink on my counter, knowing that I'm on the center. Now the question is, do I want it pulled forward or pushed back? This particular sink is going with this really cool waterfall faucet. And the idea here is this is our guest bathroom. It's really only designed for occasional use, hand washing, brushing your teeth. That's about it, right? We're not doing any laundry here. So we can have this faucet set back. The water basically cascades down into the sink. And I can set it up on this angle. I like that. I think I like it more lined up on the center of the hole. That looks good to me. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my marker and just put a mark underneath the center of the location that I like. And that'll mark where I'm going to set my drill bit to drill my hole. I also like the fact that this is pulled forward just a little bit so you're not reaching to the back of the counter. And I'm going to actually draw a whole circle for my drain. Okay. For drill bit wise, I'm going to need a pilot. That'll work. So this is small enough that it'll set my holes, because I have to drill actually from above and beneath. And I'll get into this in just a minute. And I'm going to need a couple of serious bits. I'm going to need this bad boy here, and this one here. Now, if you've never seen this before, this hole saw kit absolutely is amazing. It'll save your life. Whenever you have problem solving to do, this is the kind of tool that you want to have around. So these bits all have self-feeding tips on them. And the trick is, I want to drill a hole on top and a hole on bottom that are different thicknesses. And we'll go into the assembly and the reason for it in a minute. Let me just drill my pilot hole right through the wood so that I have this all sorted out. And I'm only dealing with pine, so this is really easy. So here's my sink drain assembly. I'll explain how this functions in a second. This is actually the drain, and this part threads in. Okay, so we're going to set this aside for a minute. And here is my washers. Now this cardboard ring is actually quite vital. This is the piece that goes on the bottom. All right, and this is what causes compression for this gasket into the bottom of my stone sink. Okay, that cardboard ring there is actually what transfers that pressure into this. And I'll explain this. If I simply had this on here without the cardboard ring, because it's threaded, it's not coming on straight, it's actually on an angle. And so there'll be more pressure on this point than there is on the back. There's a gap. And so when you do that under pressure, it actually causes the gasket to buckle up like this. Okay? And when your gasket buckles under pressure, it leaks. What this cardboard ring does is it creates an environment where there's no friction. There's just pressure. So you're not binding the rubber when you tighten. So if you throw this out and thinking it's useless packaging, you're making a big mistake and you're going to run yourself in a lot of trouble. So keep that handy. Okay. Now this white foam thing, again, it's not packaging. This is actually the gasket. This compresses almost to nothing. All right. Okay. I only got a little worm, needs to be mixed up. Okay, so what we're going to use here, yikes, is pipe joint compound. Okay, well this is an old too. One of those will last you a long time, but the point is this. Teflon tape is more of a lubricant. This is a sealer. So what you do is you always go backwards till you feel it click, and then you roll forward. So you're not cross-threading. And you tighten it right in there, nice and right and tight. Okay. You can get rid of the excess. Here we go. Garbage, I missed. Big surprise, eh? So now we have our assembly all put together. We just slide it into the sink. Okay, right to here. And then we want to get the washer, this part facing the sink, the flat part facing the washer. Okay, and we're going to try to slide that in position as best we can before we get tightening everything up. All right, this is just a giant nut, okay, for attaching this drain. I'm just going to put my screwdriver in the overflow section, which doesn't matter, okay? This sink doesn't have one. There we go. And I'm just going to tighten this up until that is nice and tight. Now, that's as strong as I can do it personally. Now, can I have my wrench, Matt? Okay. There we go. Now this is really the one chance you're going to get to tighten this on. So it's not a time to be shy. Now, since we're dealing with two gaskets, when you've put all your effort into that, then you know you're done. If you don't have a lot of upper body strength, you can get a pipe wrench. It's a much longer wrench, so you have much more leverage, okay? This is not the part that's hard. Holding the top is not hard. But putting pressure on that rubber gasket is where you need strength. So you either got some upper body strength or use a longer pair of pliers or a pipe wrench so you can really get a good grip on it, all right? To be honest with you, if your wrench was 3 inches longer, that almost doubles your strength. It's kind of crazy, but that's the power of leverage. This is done. We'll set this aside and we'll get ready for, because what we need to do is drill a hole in our countertop that's wide enough for this whole assembly to sit right flush into. It's running at 2 1/4 inches wide, which is why I grabbed the drill that's 2 1/2 inches wide. And what we're going to do is we're going to drill all the way through this bad boy, because we don't have any connection here that attaches it to the counter other than gravity and the bottom of the stone. And we're just going to install it with silicone, believe it or not. So I like to have a little file handy. I actually keep this in my kit with my saws, just because when I'm drilling holes, I like to make sure it's nice and sharp. Okay, here we go. We'll put this on regular drill and slow speed because there's a lot of torque here. All right. Now that I'm starting to cut, I'm going to go in reverse just a second. And that makes sure that I'm not causing any splits that are going to tear across my counter. Now we're good to go. And just a little bit of rotation helps make the hole just a hair bigger than the bit and helps keep it from heating up. Woohoo! Okay. Now, instead of busting right through the other side, I know with softwood lumber it's going to split and make a whole mess, so that's why I pre-drilled the hole. I'm going to come from underneath now, finish this hole from down here. This faucet is a little bit different scenario. Okay. We also have to drill a hole for the faucet. Faucet's standard hole is 1 1/4. Okay, but that's at the top. Here's the other consideration. How thick are the threads? Now, this is a 2-inch thick countertop. Okay, so when I take 2 inches off of this, I'm down to the last thread, which means the hole from the bottom side needs to be wide enough for me to attach this underneath, which is my locking mechanism. So, if I want my locking mechanism to be at least attached by a few threads, okay, then I want to make sure that I drill down from the top all the way through to about 1.25 inches, and then I'll come the other way to set up my locking thread. So because I drilled all the way through, I'm going to do the hole underneath first since the bit's already in the drill. And we're just looking to go about 1/2 inch in. Right about there. Now the diameter of the pipe going in the hole is 1 1/4. That's 1 1/4. The diameter of the part that's on top is 1 3/4. And so I'm using a drill bit, make my life easy. That's 1.5 inches. And we're going to drill all the way through. Yep. And this one does have a tendency with softwood lumber for these threads to get bunged up. Okay. If you wanted to go straight, put the pressure in the middle of the drill behind you, up from here. If you're pushing with your hand, you're always going to be twisting. So hold it with this one, but push from the top. Full of sawdust here. As a result, the threads aren't pulling anymore. So, just clean that one more time. Now that should be enough to finish this off. Woo! Beautiful. Okay, so let's put this in here, shall we? Now, before I put this in, I pull out my water lines and I'm going to connect them. Important to remember, when you're looking at a faucet, the hot goes on the left, and these lines are marked with red and blue stripes. Okay, they also have a gasket on them, so you only hand tighten here, you don't use a wrench. Okay. We can throw this on here for a 1/4 turn, maybe. Just make sure they're secure. Now, most faucets have a gasket on that sits right here on the base of the tower as well. All right, so make sure that that's in place. And we run one line and then the other. Okay, that's going to work out well. Before we put that in place, we want to drop the stone sink in. All right, this is a situation we're going to use our structural clear silicone. All right, this is a new Flex silicone. I love this product. I use it in all my wet areas all the time. These tubes are awesome. I get these at my commercial supplier because I can change the tips, right? So when it gets full and dried on, you just change the tip out for a new tip and you're back in business. Brilliant. Now, look at the diameter of my sink here, right? That's awesome. I'm going to literally put a bead of silicone right around the hole to make sure that any water that splashes outside of this sink stays on the counter so that I can take care of my maintenance. And then I'm going to go like this just to help secure it in place. All right, here goes everything. Yeah. Here we go. So now we have to put our assembly locking set on, all right? The idea is to get all that over the base of the sink. Yep, that's gonna work good. And then our locking ring. Incredibly important, especially in this situation where you're burrowing your own hole. That hole is not gonna be perfectly flat. We're gonna just set this on, get it up and over. Gonna go backwards until we feel it click. There it goes. Now we're gonna tighten it up. Now, this is the point where we have to make sure the faucet is pointing directly in line with the drain. Okay, now I'm going to hold it still while I turn these clamps. Now I don't have to over tighten here because we actually use the screwdriver to tighten the clamp. Okay, on both sides. Brilliant. Okay, so here we go. Just going to use the sponge to get off some of this residual paint. And drywall compound, it seems thick. Not uncommon. Next in the program, we are going to install these decorative caps. All right, and a couple of shark bite shutoffs. Now, little tip here, just use your wrench to secure your pipe while you're pushing on your shark bite valve. Okay. There we go. Okay, now here's a great little gadget. This is on a hinge, and it actually fits around ABS pipe. It's not perfect, but it's not bad for creating a decorative cap around a drain pipe. It'll work in a pinch to close up those ugly holes on an exposed area. So the next process is to assemble the drain. It's a piece of cake, really. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna establish our height. Now this piece of pipe that's coming out of this wall, it's not glued in, okay? It's just there to trap any potential sewer gases mid-construction. And what you wanna do is make sure that when you're measuring, you have just a minor slope. 1 degree level is fine. Hold this here, and let's get our dimension from the countertop to the bottom here, and that represents the total rise that we have to have in our plumbing. Okay, so that's 9.5 inches. This is the fitting. It goes 1.5 pipe to 1.25 interior here. That's almost every vanity drain in the world is 1.25. Kitchen sink drains are 1.5. So when you're buying this fitting, make sure you're buying the 1.5 by 1.25, because the kitchen pieces are 1.5 by 1.5, and that'll cause you problems. So for bathrooms, 1.5 by 1.25, and I can be as high as that or as low as that. So I've got a little bit of movement here, right? So just to make sure that I've got flexibility, I'm going to start in the middle. And what did I say, 9.5 here? Yeah. So that pipe is going to come across. I'm going to put a 90 on it and then a 90 this way. Okay. Boom. Right to here. And I'm going to have it set to 9.5. So 9.5 is my total pipe, right? Minus to this ridge. So I'm taking let me simplify this a little bit. I'm taking the total rise that I need, which is basically 9.5 inches, okay? I'm coming over here and I'm going to measure from this ridge right here, as the pipe inserts inside, minus 2.5, gives me 7-inch pipe. So we're going to cut that and get this installed. So my plan here is to install this pipe, okay, on my drain, run my pipe to the back and then over. And you'll see that'll work out fine, okay? But I want to run the pipe right to the back wall and then over, so it's away from the water supply lines. After I have this installed, I'm not sure what I'm going to do for the front of this. I might end up putting a piece of 1x12 pine and make a little box just to encapsulate all this so that it's all hidden. We're going to wait and see what I decide later. Just a word of caution. When you're working with your ABS glue, it's a solvent base over vinyl flooring. They don't get along. So do be careful. Now let's take this whole assembly and get this put together. Now, this P-trap comes with a clean out. It's an emergency access hatch here. This is great for if you're washing your hands and you lose your ring. Right? It should get stuck in the P-trap, and then you can just open this up over a pail and be able to rescue your ring. This is why we use them in these kind of areas. Because we have access, we might as well maintain access. Just wrap a little Teflon tape around those threads. Just 3 times is plenty. And that helps make sure they have a perfect seal. Okay. Now these are all plastic fittings. So when you're using a wrench, just give a little tug. If you over tighten it, you'll end up causing things to twist and go out of shape like an oval, and you'll end up causing a leak. So be careful of that. Okay. There we go. Same thing with the other color. Get a few nice runs on there because it'll act as a lubricant and a sealant. And we're going straight back. Okay, here we go. Now, we're going to put a little bit of glue on the fitting and on the pipe. Because what we're doing is we're actually melting both pieces of this ABS and then we're sticking it together. All right, that's how you do that properly. You don't need a whole lot to make this work. Just enough to make it look like it got wet. Okay. Now we got all that pushed together. We'll slide that over top and then tighten this ring. Remember, that piece of pipe you're attaching this to was also put in clockwise. So when you're done tightening it on, turn your fitting clockwise into position. Make sure that it's not coming loose. Very good. Now, I sent my son to the store. When he gets back, he's gonna have a couple of other elbows for me. We'll connect the rest of that pipe real quick and then it'll be finished. Okay, the only thing left now to do is to connect the water supply lines. Now listen, most of these braided faucets have a gasket inside there, so you don't have to over tighten with a wrench. Just finger tighten. Put the blue supply line on the right side as soon as you can find out where it goes. Hello. Oh, that's what it is. Typical, I made a rookie mistake. I bought the Sharp bikes. I made sure that I had the right look, but I didn't check the package. Whenever you're at the hardware store, realize people look at something and then they put it back. They never put it in the right spot. So what I was trying to connect to was a 1/4 inch supply line, which is only for fridges. I needed a 3/8. So I just stole the one from the toilet. We'll finish this now. I gotta go back to the store now to buy something for the toilet supply line, which I'm doing tomorrow. Now we can go back and connect this. Ay, 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 ay. Always, 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 always double check. I can't believe I did that. It's been a while since I didn't get the right fixture, but it happens. Okay, there we go. Now we'll put the hot one on. All right. And we'll get the wrench on here a couple of turns just to make sure we embed that gasket in the line. Okay. Now for the drain stopper, this threads into the bottom of the drain and it's a clicker. Okay, has this little flange gasket here. So you just set it over top. Again, go counterclockwise until you feel it sitting in there. Right, that's the spot. And then thread it in. Okay, and then we have a drain. The danger of this in this type of bowl is because there's no overflow. If you do this and fill it, don't leave the room. Well, the world of toilets hasn't really changed a lot in the last, I don't know, 70 years, except for the body design style. So when you're looking for your toilet, you want to take a look at a couple of options that really separate the men from the boys in this business. One of them is a dual flush, great water conservation there. The other issue is, does it have the ability to actually move a lot of content through the pipe. And the toilets come with a rating on it for that. So you want to check that as well. And the other thing, of course, and this is my favorite, soft close toilet seat. I mean, it's such a simple investment, right? Just a few dollars and you can have the seat. You can slam it, but it never makes any noise. It just, oh, it's beautiful. I love my soft close seat. Anyway, we're gonna install it today. We're doing it over top of our vinyl floor that's floating on top of our heating system. So what we have here is we have this little build-out set. It comes with a foam gasket with the bolts already in place. And then it comes with this Teflon ring, okay? And it sits right there like that. And then over top of that, you place this huge foam gasket. Now the reason I'm using this instead of wax is because this house is really old and it has a lot of movement through the different seasons. So if I have any movement in this floor over time, I need to have a gasket that's under compression that during movement will grow back in its position. Okay, this goes compressed and it'll grow back. So if the toilet ends up moving a little bit over 4 seasons, it's not going to be a concern. This will self-seal all year round. Wax, once it gets compressed, it stays compressed. And if the toilet moves, now you've got a gap so the water will get out. So this is the perfect kind of flange cover to use if you have an old house like we do, and we're going to have a lot of movement. So without further ado, let's bring the toilet in here, show you a couple of simple tips and tricks for getting these installed. So just so you understand, when you're dealing with a one-piece toilet with this slimline design, you are going to have a tool that reaches in, sits on top of the bolts, and then you can tighten. So, you know, here's another great example. I've got my crescent wrench with the detachable bits. This is an amazing tool. Comes in so handy. We're going to use that for installation today. I also like the fact that the back of it is scooped out, so I've got room for my water supply line, and we got room to get in and behind it. Let's get this spun around, Matt, real quick. So one of the major benefits of a one-piece toilet is the fact that you don't have an extra contact between a tank and the bowl. Usually those areas are like a really common place where you get dripping and water leaks. So you don't have to take that extra risk. And it makes it really easy to clean, and you don't have a lot of place where surface dust can collect and that sort of thing. So what we're gonna do, because we're using the rubber gasket instead of the wax, we can actually just tilt it, slide it back, and set it in place. With wax, you have to set it down nice and flush. All right. And at this point, the toilet should be sitting above the floor. That's perfect. Because what you want to know is you need compression. If this is touching the floor and it's sitting there and it's not moving, there's no compression. You need to build up your ring a little bit more. But this is perfect the way it is. So the idea of install is the same as a regular toilet. You have to get this little brass plate up and over onto there, and then you've got to reach in, get the nut on from behind the toilet, and just tighten it down till it's loose. All right, and then we're going to slide this over top of the bowl. This is going to take a minute. Now, you hear that? Oh, without a ratchet wrench right here, you're in a lot of trouble. All right? So we're pretty solid here, but we're gonna do your side with that as well. So you can see here that this side is a lot lower. And yeah, so this is the thing. Don't tighten it up to the point where you can't move it anymore. Just get it set so that the ratchet is working. Get to the other side. And now we'll just tighten that side until the toilet's level. So I've been sitting here with this ratchet for almost 2 minutes tightening this down. There's so much limitation in the movement. But the reality is everyone who's installed one of these one-piece toilets without a ratchet system, you just can't get enough. You can't get enough strength on that to make it work. Once you have it level, it's time to install the seat. The toilet seat, let's talk that for a second. This is not a standard seat. You can't just go to the store and buy one. This is not a basic elongated or round. This is specific to the bowl design here. So make sure when you buy your toilet, if you want soft close, you buy it as part of the package, or you're gonna be really frustrated because you won't be able to just go to the store and buy one after. The installation system here is very standard for a soft close. You just have to back off these screws here a little bit. And you set the toilet on and everything moves around. Here it is. Okay, and it all clips into place. And you can see there's lots of movement here. So what you want to do is get that down and then maneuver your seat so that you have it where you want it. Once you find your happy place, you lift it back up, push your 2 pins in here. Now tighten these back up again. Okay. This particular manufacturer has a decorative cover because it's somewhat visible when the seat is on. You give these stainless steel discs for covering this up. Okay, so now you can install that. And that's as good as done on the toilet seat, both at the same time. Okay?
That's it?
Yep, and watch how the soft close works. That's awesome. So that's how you don't wake anybody else in the house up in the middle of the night. Okay, now the sides are really interesting. They've got this really nice snap-on cover. It goes over the side to close up the access point. And it's a little tricky. You see these rings? These are designed, these 4 corners, they clip onto the groove edges here. And then this actually snaps onto that piece. There's a whole lot going on here, but the idea is you reach in behind. Again. Seems like it takes an awful lot of work, but they haven't invented a better snap-on system yet. And then you just take on your cap, set that in position, and there you go. Trap door for the toilet. There you go. You really got to use that fingertip and just, it's maddening.
Just got to do it, eh?
Get her done. Are you on nice and snug? Good stuff. Okay, Matt, next thing is the water supply line. Now I love buying braided water supply lines, okay? They come with a gasket already inside there, so there's no additional assembly required. You simply reach in behind the toilet, thread that on, and what you want to do is you want to go backwards till you feel it click, and then tighten it on. It's a plastic thread on a plastic fitting. So you can cross thread that real easily if you're not careful. All right, so you just reach back there, close your eyes.
Hey, you can't see with your fingers.
You can't see.
Oh.
You feel it?
There was no click, but I feel
You felt it? You felt
yeah,
it grab? Okay.
Kind of thing.
And then you just finger tighten it.
I didn't grab.
I wonder if it's easier from this side. It is, because you're right. I'm right-handed. Back and forth on a round thing, yeah.
I'm listening for the click.
Matt,
What?
it should be going this way.
You told me this way.
No, that's what you said.
Freaking gosh.
I'm just letting you have a little room for personal expression. No, the information's good. You just didn't want to hear. How's that working? This is turning into the longest video. Okay, tell you what. Just give it to me for a second, because I'm right-handed and I can reach in from the right hand. It wasn't working because they put on a fitting from the factory. The thread that you want is what's there now, but with that there wasn't tightening on that.
So I was going the right way.
You were probably doing everything right, and at the same time, having a little bit of experience pays. When I felt that other fitting, I'm like, that's odd. Usually it's just a plastic stem. There you go. Now, whatever kind of pressure you can get from 2 fingers is going to be good. You're not going to leak for that gasket. Now you just connect it to the supply line. And once you've got it finger tight, you can give it another quarter turn with that bad boy. Well, that's unique.
You know, that click isn't a bad trick.
No.
You never taught me that.
Well, I just did.
That would have been great for all those times where you're like, oh, you cross-threaded it.
If I teach you all my tricks up front, though, then you don't learn anything the hard way. You don't respect them. I'm just trying to figure out where in the world would they ever need that fitting? So what part of the world do you think they have a different water supply line size?
Europe.
Maybe, eh?
Just because the plugs were different.
Yeah. The other thing is that we wouldn't really know because the instructions that came in this toilet were in Chinese characters.
Cantonese, yeah.
There were like literally 3 pictures.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the reasons we're making this video, we almost didn't make a toilet video, but then we saw the instructions and went, wow, we better walk through this together just in case. And I'm glad we did because we probably would have spent half a day back there trying to attach that water supply line. Here we are.
Oh.
Now the only other system that has to be installed is the dual flush, right? Now the tank is an obvious contour, so that makes it really easy. That's awesome.
Is that on?
Yeah, that's it. That's the install. So that's how we install that. You can open up the water supply line. And if you'd like to see the other videos related to this project, then just click this link right here. We got the whole playlist for this entire custom bathroom for you.